go, go!
Smashing cars into one another is a long-standing institution in video games. From age-old favourites like Burnout and Flatout to more modern entries like Wreckfest, there's always been that drive to ram steel into steel and blow our opponents into tiny bits of scrap. With PlayStation 5 exclusive Destruction All-Stars, developer Lucid Games attempts to combine that classic demolition appeal with ideas from contemporaries such as Rocket League, Fortnite and Overwatch. The result is a competitive car combat game that can have fun bursts of frantic action, but never adds up to much more than that. The crux of Destruction All-Stars is a simple one: drive fast and hit hard. This is often extremely satisfying to do as well, because it makes it easy to push down on the accelerator, line up your target, and then flip the right stick forward to slam into an opposing vehicle. The harder you hit the other car, the more points you'll get. 1 point for a light hit, 2 for a medium one, etc. The driving itself is slick and responsive, with different sizes of vehicle feeling appropriately different to maneuver, and a tap of the handbrake letting you effortlessly drift around corners to evade chasing cars. The trick in Destruction All-Stars is to always be on the move, both so you have the momentum to get higher scoring hits, and so you aren't a sitting duck for other players to try and do the same to you. And that doesn't only apply to when you're behind the wheel, but when you're outside of the car too. This is what separates All-Stars from most car combat games: the ability to bail out and move around the arena on foot. At its best, this means ejecting yourself from a car before it explodes, flying into the air, and then landing straight into another vehicle, which feels sensational, reminiscent of launching yourself out of the Batmobile in Batman Arkham Knight. At its worst, however, you're left running and jumping around in search of a new vehicle, while all of the fun is had around you far faster than you can keep up with. The light parkour platforming itself isn't unenjoyable, thanks in part to wall running that's smooth and nimble. It's just how utterly powerless you feel in comparison to when you're in a car that's the problem. Being on foot gives you a close-up look at All-Stars' diverse cast of 16 playable characters, who, while they may not have the depth of similar-based hero games, do have their own abilities and summonable hero cars, and are charming enough in their own way to bring a welcome dose of personality to the proceedings. They're flavourful enough to not be generic and inconsequential, but put them in a room full of characters from Bleeding Edge, Lawbreakers and Rogue Company, and you'd be hard-pressed to pick them out of the crowd without the aid of name tags. More important than their personalities are the abilities that accompany each All-Star, one when they're on foot and one when they're in command of their hero vehicle. The on-foot powers, called breakers, are triggered hitting R1 and are often echoes of the hero vehicle abilities, but on a much smaller scale, making them largely ineffective. Across the roster, I felt very little impact when using a breaker, and found their biggest value was the speed boost and double jump you get when triggering them, because those actually make it easier to reach a new vehicle and become relevant to the match again. As is the case throughout Destruction All-Stars, abilities get a lot more interesting once you're back behind the wheel. After filling up the hero meter, you can summon your signature vehicle, at which point a lot of fun can be had. These cars' abilities can be used to devastating effect, and doing so well can often be the difference between winning and losing. In particular, my favourites so far have been the wolf-themed Lupita, whose sleek car leaves a trail of flames in her wake to damage any driver that runs through them, and Bluefang, who has a burly ride with giant rotating saws on the front that shred anything in its path. I think we can all agree that carving through opponents like they're made out of papier-mâché while donning a tiger head and leather jacket is a fun time. There are currently 4 PvP modes to play, which hit and miss to varying degrees. Mayhem, a 16-player free-for-all where the driver with the most points after 6 minutes takes the win, is All-Stars at its most stripped back and arguably its best. It's fast, chaotic, and rewards aggressive play, with big points for huge collisions and wrecking opposing vehicles. This is also where the varying hero abilities most successfully come into play, offering the chance for dramatic comebacks and blockbuster moments. The other, less enjoyable free-for-all mode is Gridfall, a cross between sumo wrestling and Fall Guys Hexagon round. Drivers tussle to become the last car standing as sections of arena floor disappear and beckon you into the depths. This mode requires a more deliberate approach to driving and rewards defensive play more than any other, making it feel at odds with the fast and furious nature of All-Stars as a whole. More in keeping with Mayhem's mood is the 8v8 Carnado mode, essentially a team-based equivalent with the addition of a 100-foot tall tornado in the centre of its stadium. You still score points points by wrecking enemies, but then have to bank them by driving into the vortex before your car is destroyed by an opponent. It's fun to play with friends, but lacks any form of real teamwork. It feels like a missed opportunity not to do what other hero-based games like Overwatch do, in creating opportunities to let you combine ultimate abilities together for even greater results. For example, having a driver that possessed an ability similar to Zarya's Graviton Surge that pulls enemies together into the same spot could combine with Blue Fang's Shredder to create highly rewarding moments of play, but they're all much more independent than that. The fourth and currently final team-based mode is Stockpile, and unfortunately it's the one I struggle to enjoy at all. Once again you smash into cars, but this time that causes glowing gears to appear on the floor, which you must then collect on foot before depositing them in one of the free banks around the map. It's bizarre to me that this mode forces you out of your car so much. I guess Lucid Games didn't learn the lessons taught from Tony Hawk's Underground, where it was proven conclusively that not being on your wheels is not what people want. This isn't the most baffling design decision that appears to have been made though. Despite there being 8v8 modes, you can only play in a party up to 4 players in size. Not only that, you can't play any of the free-for-all modes with friends at all. This seems like a huge miss, as I could see myself having a great time crashing into my friends in Mayhem mode. These restrictive options, combined with the lack of any local multiplayer, makes the experience of playing with friends a shallow one. If you are playing solo though, alongside the free-for-all modes are the challenge series. Each series consists of a string of short events to revolve around a single all-star, and offer very light bits of story. The first of these series is free to play, but the subsequent ones do cost destruction points, a premium currency only purchasable with real money as of now. Although the rewards for completing these are cosmetic only, it's frustrating that new twists on modes and backstories for characters will be locked behind a paywall as new series are released, especially when this currency is buyable in chunks of 500 and the first 2 challenge series cost 600 combined. Lucid knows what it's doing here, and it's not great, even if the game is effectively free if you own PS Plus. A similar thing can be said for the premium cosmetics available, which also cost 600 apiece, plus a hefty amount of the other currency that you earn solely in game. The cosmetic situation in general is pretty poor, with a limited amount of customization available. In my first roughly 7 hours of playing, I only gained enough coins to redeem 2 new outfits for my characters, both of which were just fairly simple colour swaps. It's a shame that Destruction All-Stars looks so visually impressive when all the gears are in motion, but gives you very little to show off within it when trying to add your own dash of personality to the mix. Destruction All-Stars can provide short bursts of action-packed chaos that are at their most fun when kept simple. The driving and vehicle-to-vehicle combat are highly enjoyable when you're slamming into cars at high speed, but they wear thin quickly and offer very little else on closer inspection. And the on-foot gameplay you're forced into too often feels pointless. With hit-and-miss modes, single-player content hidden behind a paywall, and poor cosmetics on offer, there's a disappointing lack of depth behind the loud crashes, bangs, and wallops that feel so exciting at first. The roster of heroes are decently designed, along with their signature abilities, but very little is done to encourage team play or interesting uses of them. There's the basis of a great party game here too, but at launch, it's far too shallow an experience for Destruction All-Stars to be considered one right now. For more Destruction All-Stars, why not check out a full match of Mayhem gameplay or the latest trailer for the game.